wondered what the different holes found on a computer are used for? Well, welcome to today's lesson, where we will look at cables and connectors, part 1, under the theme Information and Communication Technology. My name is Blaze Ella, and by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do a few things. First, you should be able to list types of computer cables. Secondly, you should be able to list types of data cables. And finally, you should be able to list types of connectors. So if you take a close look at a computer, you will find several holes in them. These holes are called ports. These ports serve different purposes. They can be used to connect computers to other devices such as television, projectors, phones, and so on. They can also be used to power a computer and also transfer data. So you see, there are different types of computer cables that fit into these ports. Generally, computer cables are either used to transfer data or power the computer. This is why the two basic types of computer cables are power cables and data cables. A power cable is also known as a power cord, a kettle plug, or a mains cable. It is an electrical cable that is made up of one or more conductors packed together in a sheet. Usually, one end of the cable is connected to the computer or the electronic device it needs to power, while the other end is connected to an electrical source through a socket or an extension. On the other hand, data cables are used to provide communication between devices. So when devices are able to communicate, they can share data, they can share resources in different formats, such as pictures, graphics, videos, and so on. Data cables include network cables and cables that are used to connect the computer with other media devices. In the second part of this lesson, we will pay close attention to network cables, while in this part of this lesson, we will look at cables that are used to connect the computer to other media devices. So as it pertains to data cables that are used to connect the computers to other media devices, some types of these data cables are VGA cable, DVI cable, HDMI cable, PS2 cable, audio cable, eSATA cable, USB cable, Thunderbolt cable, DisplayPort cable, and so on. Now let's have a look at these different types of data cables. Now this is the VGA cable. It is also known as a D-sub cable or an analog cable. And over here we have the DVI cable, which is of three types. We have the DVI-A, which transmits analog signals alone. We also have the DVI-D, which transmits digital signals alone. And then we have the DVI-I, which transmits both analog and digital signals. And next, we have the HDMI cable, which can transmit both graphics and sound. We also have the PS2 cable, which is commonly used for the mouse and keyboard. The green cable is used for the computer mouse, while the purple cable is used for the computer keyboard. Going on, we have the 3.5 mm audio cable, which is also known as the audio jack. We also have the DisplayPort cable, which has a higher quality than the HDMI cable. And then we also have a very popular cable we all know, which is the USB cable, and it has different types. So we have the type A USB cable, the type B cable, the type C cable, the USB micro B, and the USB mini B. One unique thing about USB cables is that apart from data transfer, they can be used to power certain electronic devices. And finally, we have the Thunderbolt cable, which is a high-speed cable, and it is of three types: the Thunderbolt 1, 2, and 3. Now we're able to fit these different computer cables into different devices because of a small piece of hardware attached to the cable. This piece of hardware is called a connector. And so this part of the cable that we handle and fit into the computer ports are connectors. For whatever kind of cable, they are attached to a connector. So all of these are connectors. And connectors are used to terminate a segment of a cable or provide a point of entry for a device. Now, based on the appearance of connectors, there are two types. We have the male connectors and the female connectors. The male connectors are known as inlets or plugs, and they usually have a pin, while the female connectors are known as outlets or jacks, and they usually have a hole that the pin of the male fits into. Now, all these are some types of connectors. Have you ever been in a situation where you have a cable that doesn't fit into any port on your computer? Well, that's possible because a computer cannot have all the ports for all the different types of cables that exist. So what do? Well, with a cable adapter or converter, you can connect such cables. These are some examples of cable adapters and converters. And with this, we've come to the end of this lesson. But before we leave, let's have a quick summary. First, we learned that computers can be powered and also connected to other devices using computer cables that are plugged into their ports. Secondly, we learned that the two main types of computer cables are power cables and data cables. Next, we learned that power cables are used to power computers, while data cables are used to send data between devices. Going on, we learned that some types of data cables include VGA cable, DVI cable, HDMI cable, PS2 cable, audio cable, eSATA cable, USB cable, Thunderbolt cable, DisplayPort cable, and so on. And finally, we learned that some types of connectors include RCA, TSR, Toslink, DB, CN, Firewire, Molex, IEC, and USB connectors. At this point, let's try some exercises. Question 1. Which of the following is not a type of data cable? Here are the options. A. VGA, B. HDMI, C. IEC, D. DVI. And the correct answer is C. IEC. Let's try out one more. Which of the following is not a type of connector? A. PS2, B. Molex, C. RCA, D. TSR. And the correct answer is A. PS2. With what we've learned so far, I'm sure you now know the different types of computer cables, and you also know what to do when you have computer cables that don't fit into your computer ports. Till we meet in our next lesson. Bye-bye.